Hello, hey, this is Gary McCormick with AffordableCraftsman.net. I'm making this quick little video, relatively quick, about tankless water heaters. Now, we've been remodeling homes and building new homes for a while. I guess we started flipping houses in the mid-90s, and we built our first new home and started developing lots in 2002. So that's 24 years of new construction and about 30 of flipping. And it was actually a remodel that we were on back in the early 2000s, maybe 2001 or 2. And it was for a family from Chicago that had moved here to Atlanta, to the Alpharetta, Cherokee County, Canton type area of north central Atlanta. A little further out into the boonies where you had like 5-acre lots and people were starting to have horses and things. And they had maybe about a 7-acre piece of land with a barn and a house, and they had a husband and wife and 3 daughters, and they all had horses. And so it was pretty sweet. It's called Three Sisters Farm. And I had not done at that point a tankless water heater. I was familiar with them and been around them, but I remember that they had a pretty advanced master bath. It was like a Hans Grohe German manufacturer thing, and they had a lot of body sprays, a couple controllers, different things, handhelds, of course. And I remembered looking at the paperwork, and the valve had 3/4 inch hot and 3/4 inch cold coming into the mixing valve, where the handle was to control the temp. And it was normal to have a 1/2 inch hot and a 1/2 inch cold. And I knew that a 1/2 inch hot would require about 4 gallons of water a minute of hot, or 4 gallons of cold, or both. And so, like in the past, if a client said, "Oh, I take a wide open, pure hot water, 150, 160 degree shower," that they were going to use 4 gallons per minute. Well, a 3/4 inch is twice the size. It sounds a quarter because it's a half versus 3/4, but a 3/4 inch plumbing fixture is actually twice the volume of a 1/2 inch, and a 1 inch is twice the volume of the 3/4, and so forth. So I think, well, that's going to be about 7 or 8 gallons. So I called and asked them, and they said, "Oh yeah, we take hot showers like 20 or 30 minutes each back to back." I thought, oh, that's a lot of hot water, because this wide open was going to be 7 or 8 gallons. So, you do the math. It's a lot of water. 20-minute showers, 150 gallons or so. And they had a 50-gallon hot water heater, which was already kind of a big one. And I'd done double 50s and 80s. And I called her and I said, "Hey, when they sold you this, they had sold it to them from, I'm trying to remember the supply house. It was a very high-end supply house here in North Atlanta. And I called them and said, when they sold this to you, did they mention any of this about the 3/4 inch hot and cold supply?" She said, "No." I said, "Well, it's going to use 7 or 8 gallons a minute of hot, and your existing water heater is 40 or 50 gallons, So you'll have 7 minutes of shower." And she lost it. Her name was Carol. She lost it. And she said, "Oh my God." And I said, "Well, it is kind of criminal. It was Ferguson's Enterprise, which is one of the higher end, plumbing supply houses in Alpharetta area, north central Atlanta, and Buckhead and other locations." And so I'm like, well, they needed to have said something to you, because, it's 7 gallons, 8 gallons a minute. Even a 50-gallon water heater, you're going to get 7, 8, 9 minutes, maybe 10, if you're lucky. And you need 20 or 30 minutes back to back. The only way that I know, and I'm not very knowledgeable, the only way I know is to get a industrial-sized tankless water heater, because it will provide 5 to 10 gallons of hot water perpetually, unending. Tankless water heater means endless water. So usually people want 3 or 4 gallons per half inch. So if the tankless water heater is giving you, let's say, 8 gallons a minute, that's enough to run 2 or maybe even 3 hot control valves. So you could have your clothes dryer, your clothes washer, your dishwasher, and take a shower. But with this 3/4 inch valve in the master shower with all those body sprays on it one time and all those extra heads, it was going to require that would be the only thing that could run. But she could, in fact, her and her husband, take 20 or 30 minute all hot showers back to back with that tankless. And that's what we did. We did a Takagi light commercial like you'd use for a laundromat. You'd actually use a bunch of them, probably 3 or 4 or 5 or 10. We used one and let it get very hot up to almost scalding and had them sign off on it. And that provided enough hot water to run just that master shower with all those body sprays and extra handhelds for an unlimited period of time. That was almost 25 years ago, pretty close. And that was my first experience. Since then, we've done hundreds of electric and gas tankless water heaters. We install many of them ourselves. Even though we're not master plumbers, we do a lot of journeyman plumbing. And highly, highly recommend them. There are many more options now than there were back in the day, if you will. And would love to talk to you about that if you have need of that. But I wanted to share that story because she was pretty upset. She'd spent thousands and thousands of dollars on that Hans Grohe setup that you could like take your Volkswagen in there and shower it. It's like a car wash. And they love their hot showers. And that without that tankless water heater that was a couple of grand, that deal was done. And she was so mad at Ferguson's. How dare they sell her all that crap and do all that and never explain any of that? How could they not ask her what kind of water heater she had? Most people have a 40 or 50 gallon water heater. That was just insanity. So anyways, it endeared me to Carol and her husband Tom, and we were able to finish that remodel. It was maybe about a $300,000 or $400,000 remodel of a very historic home, very historic. And they were great people, and I was so glad to be able to do that for them. But it was a thing that we kind of figured out on the fly when I got that cut sheet, that instruction for that plumbing she had purchased. I thought, this is going to be a real problem. But we solved it with the tankless water heater, and we've been solving it like that for 25 years now. We absolutely love tankless water heaters. So please reach out if you want to talk to us about gas or electric, pros and cons, get a bid. We're usually quite a bit less. We're usually less than half of what the plumbers would charge. So it's quite a steep savings, and we're very good with them. So you can do multiple if you need multiple in a big house. You cannot run them in series. You must run them in parallel. If you run them in series, you'll have big problems. So please reach out and let us know. Of course, our phone number and email and websites, all that's on the placard or the card at the end of this video. If you want to look us up on YouTube, if you want to look in the description for our websites, if you're on our website watching this video right now, you're welcome to click a button above to either call the office or schedule an appointment or get a free quote. But whether you're an investor, whether you're a builder, whether you're an end user, this tankless water heater thing is really something important to know about, to know that at least it's an option. Okay, get in touch. We hope you enjoyed this content and you learned something. We'll see you next time around. Bye-bye.